Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Gonzalo Barrientos. I previously served Austin and Central Texas in the Texas Senate and the Texas House. I joined in announcing Voices of Austin. Voices of Austin is a nonprofit, nonpartisan grassroots coalition formed to educate and amplify the voices of the majority of our residents who want better government. In-depth opinion research shows that those of us who want a better city government are not alone. In fact, we are an 80% majority. Once these residents are alerted, this majority can set a new direction for city government. A city government that listens to its people. A government in which tax dollars are prudently spent on Austinites' wants and needs. A government in which sensible, affordable transportation is a priority. And government in which land use laws protect neighborhoods instead of destroying them. And a government in which increased and compassionate public safety is among its highest priorities. The public's agenda will be Austin's new narrative. Definite majorities of Austin voters disagree with current City Hall policies. Over 80% of Austinites feel unsafe in their neighborhoods and downtown. Clearly, we need better, not fewer, police. Approximately 70% of Austinites want traffic to be improved to optimize vehicle transportation. Yet our city government does not sufficiently debate traffic and congestion. Instead, they discuss mobility. Mobility, which to them means narrower, less drivable streets, and probably a 25% tax increase for trains that will take years to build and make downtown traffic a mess for decades. City government should debate whether taxes should be decreased or frozen. Instead, the only debate are money is needed in raising taxes. Voices of Austin will amplify the legitimate voices of Austinites to change our city government, that agenda, and make it deal with what is actually important to the people of Austin. We are the voices of Austin. I call now on my colleague, Jan Lehmann.
Hello, welcome. I am Jan Lehmann. I'm a third generation Austinite. I was raised in South Austin, and I'm a businesswoman here that has served on many community civic boards over the years and chaired a number of them. And I got to work with Austinites from all over Austin, every age, race, gender, and political persuasion. So I'm part of Voices of Austin because I know Austinites need and want a better city government. One that listens to Austinites when it comes to how the city spends our money. My work takes me to larger cities than Austin. They don't have the problems that we have with traffic, safety, cleanliness, and neighborhood issues we've had for many years. Yet City Hall keeps spending our money on issues without solutions, without a plan, and without results. City Hall never discusses how to avoid taxes or tax hike. They just want to talk about how to raise taxes. Austinites demand transparent, responsible processes for budgets and bond proposals to pay for essential basic needs for all Austinites. City spending should be prioritized on fundamental services like public safety, water, wastewater, streets, parks, cleanliness in common areas, and services for all to use like libraries and pools. City Hall is coming up on their budgeting process, and the approval will be effective October 1st. Frivolous spending on projects benefiting special interest groups must stop. Projects defined by the bloated and we know better senior staff, a staff that has too much power and forget that they're serving Austinites. That needs to stop. Voices of Austin will look to see how City Hall is paying for all these non-essential projects. We'll be using an experienced professional forensic accounting services to do a targeted examination of the current budget. We will follow the trail of where future money is being delegated. We'll find the money that should be spent on what Austinites want: solutions to our traffic problems, support for and improvement of public safety, find better solutions for our neighborhoods, and quit chasing code necks and make Keep Austin Beautiful a reality. Austin's one of the few cities in the Southwest that's not preparing for the coming revenue shortfall. Instead, Austin continues to carry the same size of staff without any cuts. Dallas and Houston have both made substantial cuts in their staff. Austin has not. And Austin's city staff starts out larger than Dallas or San Antonio, which are much larger metroplexes. Austin budget is purposefully convoluted and secretive, so Austinites can't understand how their tax money is being spent. Findings from our forensic accounting efforts will be made public, so Austin voters can make their own evaluations of the current leadership of City Hall. I care what happens to the beautiful city I grew up in. I know you care. I'm being ignored and bullied. Join us at Voices of Austin and demand change to recreate a clean, safe city for all. We all want to be able to get around town. We want to be proud of our city again and our tax money spent efficiently and effective. Thank you. I'm going to turn it back over to our chairman.
My colleague, Lora Houston.
Good afternoon. I'm Lora Houston, a longtime resident of Austin, former city council member of the good people of District 1, and I'm a mother. I have a black son, and every time he comes home, I give him the talk. Yes, I give him the talk, and he is in law enforcement. Voices of Austin deplores the historic and recent killings of unarmed minority men, women, and children by members of law enforcement. We enthusiastically support measures to change the culture in law enforcement, which includes institutional and systemic accountability and discipline. My elders, my peers, and my adult children know the history and trauma of vigilante justice, from the time of slave communities, the decapitation of James Byrd Jr. in Jasper, Texas, the killing of Trayvon Martin in 2012, the El Paso massacre in 2019, and Ahmaud Arbery in 2020. People who look like me depend on peace officers to protect us from vigilantes and stand your ground justice. Professional police officers are the front line of our justice system. Without well-trained, anti-racist police with integrity, who will arrest the vigilantes? Any serious consideration of decreasing the number of peace officers in Austin must be balanced with the fact that more than 80% of Austinites throughout this city, in every district in this city, feel unsafe in their neighborhoods and in downtown. Austinites want a police department that is well-trained, free of bias, and professional, not fewer officers. Polling completed during the peak of recent demonstrations indicated that the majority of Austinites deplore all forms of police brutality. Social service calls to social service professionals are unable to comprehend how fewer police will make the city safer, want diverse, well-trained peace officers to keep up with the population growth. City government is not listening to the majority of Austinites who want both accountability when law enforcement personnel are responsible for an unjust, deadly encounter, and a police department that has sufficient officers to keep all of us safe and secure without abuses of human rights. Spending less on public safety does not equate to keeping our city safe. The next speaker is Paul Theobald.
Hi, y'all. I'm Paul Theobald. I came to Austin over 20 years ago, joined the Navy from Austin, came back after service, and am a graduate College and the University of Texas at Austin. I'm here to talk about affordable and sensible transportation. Voices of Austin knows Austinites want transportation solutions that are cost effective, reduce commute time, focus on personal vehicle usage, do not displace themselves or their neighbors, efficiently transport people into and across town, and will not raise taxes 25% during major unemployment and government revenue shortfall. The majority of Austinites know that since the $1 billion transportation bond in 2016, traffic has gotten worse. That majority knows instead of fixing the traffic problem, City Hall has made the problem worse with special interest programs under the false umbrella of mobility improvement. A commanding majority of Austinites agree that tax resources are not used to maximize benefit for the people. The same majority knows City Hall listens to lobbyists and niche special interests more than the average taxpayer. Austinites are tired of expensive, large-scale mass transit ideas that will raise taxes 25% and take away money from truly essential services, not to mention the cost of maintenance going forward. Our polling shows 85% of only 2% of Austinites use bicycles, and a greater percentage of people use rideshare than public transportation. The pandemic has likely shifted Austinites' views and attitudes even further away from mass transit as well. More people are telecommuting than ever before. The experience of New York City shows packing large numbers of people into mass transit is simply dangerous. City Hall must listen to the voices of Austinites and define a transportation plan that gives the people of Austin what they want, not what lobbyists, their clients, and know-it-all senior staffers want. City Hall should listen to the majority of Austinites and specifically address the needs of low-wage workers with limited transportation options and essential workers who are keeping our economy moving. Voices of Austin urges a focus on technology-driven, affordable choices for Austinites to travel in and around the city. Innovative technological solutions should be pursued instead of obsolete fixed services that will be past their prime when implemented. Austinites want a transportation process which doesn't listen to special interests. Solutions that people want and which the people will use. Thank you, and allow me to introduce my colleague, Art Olbert.
Hi, I'm Art Olbert. I'm an IT executive and a consultant. But more importantly, I was part of the group that brought 10-1's change to the Austin City Council. And now I'm a proud member of the Voices of Austin. As you heard, we polled Austinites. We found out what they care about and what they want. And I'll talk about land development. Austin knows the majority of Austinites want a land development code that balances growth with protecting existing neighborhoods. Austinites want common sense land development, land use regulation that will not tax renters or homeowners out of their homes, won't narrow streets and increase on-street parking, making it difficult for emergency vehicles. And we don't want a land use that lies about providing affordable housing while giving large property developers a free by neighborhoods. Austinites object to the uniform adoption of the new urbanist goal of making Austin look like Manhattan or the Bronx. The vast majority of Austinites do not want a hyper-dense development model to infect the entire city. When Austinites were polled, they opposed Code Next, but they're not against growth. Austinites accept dense zoning for areas like downtown, the Domain, other urbanized cores, and some selected corridors. But Austinites want neighborhoods respected and supported, not destroyed. There are also strong indications that the pandemic has further decreased Austinites' appetite for dense urbanism. Opposition to Code Next from the Voices of Austin will only get louder When the people learn it has cost more to define code next than any other US city's land development plan, twice as much as Los Angeles's, which is bigger city, and that was the second most expensive. City Hall is not listening to Austinites, but instead pandering single interest, single issue groups, and senior city staffs we know best plan for the city we love. The large majority of Austinites don't want code next and don't want rampant density. Once that majority learns that it is in fact the majority, change will come to Austin City Hall. I'd now like to introduce our executive director, Peck Young.
Thank you, Art. I'm Peck Young. I'm a former political consultant and former executive director of the ACC Center for Public Policy and Political Studies. We are unique in Austin politics because our agenda is the people's agenda. We do not have to persuade Austinites. The majority of Austinites already are dissatisfied with City Hall. What you have heard from us and what you will hear is based on statistically significant, scientifically taken polling study that shows that over 80% of Austinites are dissatisfied with what is being said and done by the city government. Our intention is to mobilize that majority of Austinites and together so that we can change what's happening with city government in this community and change it quickly. Voices of Austin must be the voice of this large majority. It's heard through an alternative political narrative in Austin. We will not follow the city council or staff into the weeds of the policy details and fight over minutia like they would like us to. We will maintain a high ground and not talk about personalities. We will educate the community and the media on core issues. A large majority of Austin voters know that City Hall does not listen to the citizens. Rather, the City Hall is beholden to lobbyists and senior city staff. Once awakened, the majority of Austinites will set a new direction for a better city government that listens to its own citizens. We will spend tax money prudently. We will have sensible, affordable ability to move around Austin where we choose, when we choose, and how we choose. We will have land use laws to protect our neighborhoods instead of destroying them. We'll increase public safety with more and better trained police and not rhetoric. Austinites are stronger together and not separated into fighting among themselves about details. You can volunteer and donate today if you want to go to voicesofaustin.org. Groups you belong to are welcome to join us to improve this city. Voices of Austin will amplify by working with coalition partners. We have and will aggressively continue to reach out to individuals and organizations from all over Austin, representing all political views, all ethnic and racial groups, and all genders. Is welcome because all of those groups are dissatisfied. We exist to educate the government of the city of Austin on what the voices of Austin are saying and what they want. This is about having a city government that listens and serves all of us. In short, a city government that cares again about the voices of Austin. Thank you. Mr. Chairman.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening and asking the questions. There is so much more to do. If you have any questions, you've got the email address, telephone numbers. We want to educate and amplify the people's thoughts, needs, and wants for the city government. Thank you so much. Protect yourself and wear your mask and wash your hands. Thank you.